So in the following, I'd like to do nothing less narcissistic than look at the origins of my own tattoo. The Bunga Terung. Got a mosquito bite there. That's Bunga Terung means eggplant flower. See a resemblance? Not really, right? Down the Mekong from who knows where, or north of India. Some say around 20,000 years ago was possibly the first migration. They were making tattoos already, but they were often using the ink of squid to make these tattoos. We got to Borneo, had to change. Life had to change because there are no volcanoes on the island of Borneo. Everybody thinks Indonesia, the Ring of Fire, volcanoes. No, forget that. No volcanoes, no fault lines. Third largest island in the world. In order to fertilize the soil, in order to grow plants, and in order to avoid things like island dwarfism, you need to burn the land. So roughly 6,000 years ago, I would say probably earlier, somehow somebody on the realization that crops are growing better if you burn the land. And that ash is very significant, very meaningful in multiple rituals, but also in Dayak tattoos. Fortunately, we have incredibly racist and problematic British colonial officers like Charles Hose, who in the 1800s did some ethnology. The predecessor to ethnography. Ethnology usually has an administrative function. Okay, but really Charles Hose went above and beyond. You can clearly see when you read The Pagan Tribes of Borneo, I mean the title alone is cringe. You can really see that he had a passion for these cultures, although he routinely called them primitives and savages. And of course the British are civilized. This one in the upper left-hand corner is especially interesting because that's bordering on a simulacrum. It's a design that is completely detached to the original referent, which is dogs. Weird, right? Dogs. Do you look at any of this and think dogs? Probably not, right? But you see it in the even in the basketry, in the weaving, in the textiles, everything. It's everywhere. This love for things that interlock, right? Kalajengking, Scorpion of Borneo, on the hand of Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. Find out why they chose tattoo from Borneo. It does look pretty effing cool, though. Problematic or not, thank goodness Hose did care to take these designs down from the mid to late 1800s. But what does this all have to do with dogs? Come on, get to the point, right? The tusks, the wild boar here. You see the wisping shape of the hornbill. A slight curve in the Mandau Dayak blade, sometimes problematically associated with ngayao, which is headhunting. Here you can see the culmination of these in like a more modern design that I believe is available on Redbubble. You could like get a shower curtain, a phone case. The pygmy elephants, why were they pygmy? Why island dwarfism? Well, because no volcanoes. So, but also the effect of living on an island tends to do that. Prey animals get bigger, predators get smaller. You can see the spirals, dogs facing each other with open mouths, and this is from a description from Charles Hose, published 1912. I made them both kind of male. Direct quotes from Hose that a man with tattooed hands is a wastrel or a conceited braggart. No account with Europeans or with his own people. This wild and irresponsible system of tattoo has been accompanied by an inevitable degradation of the designs. Okay, so here he's talking about the Sea Dayak, the Bajau Sea Dayak, and they even have this wonderful creation myth where a great hand in the ocean is what revealed them. They originate from the ocean. They even have adaptations so that they can dive deeper and free dive for longer. Any designs featuring dogs were known as tuang asu. The figures show the dog design run mad, and it is idle to attempt to interpret them, since in every case the artists have given their individual fancies free play. Okay, so why dogs anyway? Well, men are typically expected to go on a long journey in order to come back with some sort of harvest, maybe trophy heads, a certain window in history. If they were able to provide for their families or bring back trophy heads or whatever, then they would receive this tattoo of the dog. Because the dogs would go along with men, dogs were seen as friends, as companions. So you see the spiraling tails. Now, how does it come center of the flower, right? If you go on a long journey as a man, you are called a perantau. So this is the referent design in terms of Baudrillard's simulacrum. This is the starting point, okay? We'll see how things diverge from here. This is what Baudrillard would call the first order. In this first order, interpretant of the original referent, you add the Paya Gasyang, which is the thread of the spinning wheel. Okay, so history is creeping into these designs, and Hose calls it the rosette. This rosette, whether it's threads or the tails of dogs, then creeps into the center of the Kalajenking scorpion tattoo. And as Islam became more popular, the dogs were disguised by the petals of flowers, but their tails remained in the center, if it's not threads from some sort of loom or spinning wheel. Eggplant flower. Now, why the Bunga Terung? Is it native to Indonesia? Is the eggplant native to Indonesia? No, it was introduced by the Dutch. By calling it the eggplant flower, we enter the third order in Baudrillard's simulacrum, because it bears no resemblance to the origins, which is the dog. So palimpsest, dictionary definition is a page where somebody has typed, and then they've gone back and they've typed over it. Or they've tried to erase certain words and then they've typed over it again. What ends up happening is there's layer upon layer, and you can see little bits of some sort of history. I'm not saying that the simulacrum of the eggplant flower design is attached in any way to dog tails, the original referent. I am saying that if I told somebody from Borneo that this is the relationship to that, they would probably say, yeah, it is. Yeah, that makes sense. And not just because I told them, but because multiple things are suggestive of that history as very possible. Very possible, but also not set in stone, still malleable. So there's an element of the palimpsest maybe in the Christmas tree. So you see a plastic piece of junk Christmas tree in, let's say, Saudi Arabia. Does it resemble any folk tradition in Scandinavia or Germany? If I told somebody that it does, what reason would they have to not believe me? Polygenesis is how things spread. They are not brought to a new place, but they are recreated every time in a new place. Important for me anyway, as I continue to talk about diachronic change on the island of Borneo, be that tattoos or culture or auguries or omens or dreams even. Dreams is kind of the pinnacle or the aim. We're getting there. Stay tuned.